Welcome back from that short break. It's Paladins, baby. We got PPL coming up on Thursday, but before then, we got a couple shows to go through. We got one more game to go through here today, and it is Zenith versus Downfall. So another one of those matchups like we saw earlier. The team on top 2-0, Zenith in the middle 1-1. So both teams trying to solidify themselves sort of in one or the other spot.
The conversation around all these teams is can you find rhythm early enough and I think often enough. It's more around there's a lot of talented players, but Downfall with some talent, it's going to be tough to catch Ferocity the way they seem to be hitting their stride. Today is a really important day. Finding a win here is going to do wonders for either of these teams.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned how Zenith is starting to hit their stride, and they really are. But when you have the lineup that they do, it's not surprising. Ninny, Baller Steve, Flame FX, Watkins, Mage Monkey. I mean, that is a rock solid lineup, in a lineup that we've seen find some good success in the past. So wouldn't be surprised to see them come out on a good foot here today either.
Yeah, no, and actually just to correct, because Ferocity is the team I was talking about. Zenith is a good team, but Ferocity is really the thing, I think, the biggest competition for Downfall right now. So against Zenith, it's going to be interesting to look at how they can either step their game up. They've had inconsistent performances, I'll say that. Watkins has been the Tyra main we've all loved ever since Phoenix has kind of not been on the highlight reel lately because he's just been busy and the PPL hasn't been going. He's given us our Tyra for us, so we're good there. But Niju coming in, it's been fantastic. But again, he wasn't on the team to start out the PML. So can they continue to find it? Downfall with T-Mac, with Edgem, the way they've been playing, that's in a level where I'm looking at a top 2 team. Can they keep that up? There's a lot of superstars there, and even murmurs saying, hey, these guys should be in the PPL. I mean, this should be a team that's already in the PPL. I mean, Dave, I'm excited to see their performances. And if Zenith can match that, I mean, that means the world for Zenith as well.
Right. And if I remember reading correctly, I think William will be subbing in for Jay today.
355?
So, what, Jay?
William 355?
William 355.
Oh,
correct.
wow.
Subbing in for Jay. If I read Twitter correctly, unless I was fed misinformation, he'll be subbing in for Jay.
That is Twitter.
That is Twitter. So entirely possible that I'm just off on a completely wrong direction here. But yeah, Downfall. No, certainly the team to beat here in this region. Jay, certainly one of the stronger players on that team, but you got T-Mac, Tay, Edgem, Shadow, as you said. I mean, that's a solid lineup as well. So Downfall have hit their stride. You look at Zenith who are doing their best to get into that groove. And then on the opposite side, you have a team like Downfall who have hit that groove and are looking to continue that today.
Yeah, and it's going to be important to see the way that Poison has consistently, for me, shown that he's stepping up for Ferocity as one of the top players, not only in North America, but in the PML in general. Can we see the same thing happen for Edgem? Can we see the same thing happen for Niju? Can we see the kind of the bigger names that have carried a lot of these games for Downfall and for the rest? And Shadow as well. He's an ex-PPL player in a very similar position as Poison, coming from Splice, now having a chance again to play that DPS role on the Blasters specifically and dominate this league.
Seen him do some damage on the EV in the past. Jaguar Falls is going to be our first battleground here between Downfall and Zenith, so nothing too out of the ordinary coming out to start things off here today. Didn't catch the bans there, though, but Torvald going to be the first one to get banned away here. Pretty standard starting things off for Zenith, but there have been some interesting picks sort of overall today. You've seen the Mave come out a few times. You've seen Shaolin a couple times as well. Buck making his way into a few of these games. Does Jaguar Falls ring any bells to you? I'm not going to make you make any predictions. I know Gore's our resident predictor.
He is.
Do you see potential for a little
those
tomfoolery here?
Kind of picks.
There's always potential, I guess.
To me, I think they're both going to play it pretty safe. When I look at Zenith, I see a team that's kind of trying to, like I said, establish themselves yet again in this league, especially with Niju. I don't think anything funky is going to be going on for them. But I do see Downfall getting a very solid lineup. You can see with the Bomb King and Nara start, it's already very proper, prim and proper, so to speak, as to what you would want on Jaguar Falls. You have sustain, you have pressure, you have tanky characters, and now you've got the Leon. The big difference between what we saw earlier, which is why those Maves, those Shaolins came in, Europe was consistently banning Cassie, and then they had games where they banned Cassie Leon, so you have to go into the deeper DPS options there. Because Cassie's left alone in North America, not as prioritized, everyone gets Cassie Leon, everyone's happy.
It's true. I mean, and we started to see the meta kind of making its way in. Today we've seen some dredge coming out, which we didn't see at all.
Not sold on that.
Not sold on it just yet. Not the yeet dredge. You're not big on the yeet dredge just yet. But he has started to make his way out. So we've seen some of these picks that maybe in the past would have been a little weird, but suddenly have become a little less weird the more they get picked. Tyra, as you said, making her way through.
Yeah, no, Watkins is making sure he plays Tyra whenever possible. I mean, it's getting to be a meme, or the belief in Tyra is stronger than the belief in, God at this point. I don't know what's going on, Watkins, but I love it. I love it, and I'm excited to see if it works.
Time to see if it pays off. Jaguar Falls, game number 1. Casters, Nick and Gore, take it away, guys.
Away it has been taken. Tyra's going to be the same.
In fact, so far away.
Same
We're
song
not
and
even
dance.
in Jaguar Falls.
So
Me and you are in Stone Keep, which in my mind is very far from Jaguar Falls.
When we were playtesting the other day, I took the opportunity to look out down onto Serpent Beach and Frog Isle. One of the very cool things about Jaguar Falls is if you approach that edge that's coming up right now on the left side of your screen, you can see 2 other maps in Paladins, which is fun. You can do this in Splitstone as well. Actually, no, Foreman's Rise, the Onslaught map, you can see Splitstone Quarry if you look all the way down off the edge.
I actually didn't know that one. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
That's neato bandito.
Gore, I spend a lot of time just staring out into the wilderness when I play Paladins.
You know, for you, literal God gamer Nick, who is constantly 5 wiping your opponent. You have to find some way to fill the time.
You're gassing me up. You just gassed me up, and all the kids are gonna think too highly of me. 42% though. Real talk now. It's time for this game to get underway. Somebody kill somebody so I can say something about it. 48%. And there it is. Watkins on the Tyra. He's going to be the first to dance. Pushing forward a little bit. Firebomb goes out, denying Shadow any more ground here on Jaguar Falls. I got to say, Shadow got the Bomb King on Jag Falls. I was hard-pressed to be found betting against Downfall here, but Zenith have come out to a roaring start. That's a big presence from Edgem. He's going to plug a couple of people for over 1,000 damage. Niju keeps things under wraps, though, as he takes down the Ruckus. The overtime started, but will it end in favor of Blue? It looks like it might just be that way.
Not the most effective crossfire you've ever seen. Watkins does end up dying towards the end, but he gets rid of William 355, and he showcases something that, as much as, they on the desk were kind of not even harping on it, but mentioning it, the fact that, Watkins is throwing out the Tyra pretty much any chance he gets. This is a good map for her. Whenever you can get a firebomb either in a staircase, in a doorway, you can kind of drive where it goes. And when you're up against the likes of Inara, when you're up against the likes of Ruckus, it burns their health bar down really fast.
Well, let's have a peek, see at the damage charts here and see what's going on. They might start to be in flux here as Inflame is popped. This team fight starting to break out fairly close. Fairly close, I would say. We've got a nice even descent from the top there. Here comes the King Bomb ripping around the corner. Flame Effects is happy to take that one on the chin, so it means the rest of his team doesn't have to. But both frontliners dead. For the boys of Zenith means they have to fall back for the time being, and their lovely ladies in the backline, Cassie and Tyra, will not be able to find any more blood for the time being. That's a very fast Tyra, man.
Yeah.
She must be getting pretty pocketed there by Mount Amba.
I mean, getting your movement, being able to run this fast, and just kind of keeping it up. You have some cards in your loadout that could augment your movement ability. Whether or not Watkins is running it is going to be the question. There it is, yeah. 20% movement while your Hunter's Mart is active, and when you have Ranger 5, it better be active pretty much all of the time. So you're going to be running around just generally quicker than anyone would expect out of a Tyra.
A very quick boy. One-for-one exchange here out of the gate. Hunting Party has started to overtake Nade Launcher as the preferred talent for Tyra. Synergy with her teammates, nice little cooldown, and by far the least explored talent, I think I should say. And did not see a lot of use. It's been buffed quite a bit, slowly over time. It's one of those things that has just crept up in its efficacy, and we're starting to see that now. William 355, the substitute for a Downfall today. The boys on the desk were so kind as to note that for us. Falls. This is the pressure from Watkins. Tyra continues to skyrocket here, 27 on the clock. But this payload is merely a car's length away from its final destination, and under the Furia Beam does not matter. They is still ripped to pieces.
They're not doing whatever they can, and those shots coming down. Mage Monkey's credits for the kill, but it's Neo here that is causing, I think, the more positive note, I guess, for the team. The
He's
damage
been
is just
monster.
incredibly good. And it's one of those things. Ruckus, I've said this before, but Cassie with big game and a couple of tiers of record is your biggest downfall.
Neo has undoubtedly turned Team Zenith around. The addition of this player has made such a big difference. He's a guy that played at the top of the minor league scene, so he's not one of those ex-PPL players like Shadow is, but he was always playing largely, I would say, for Gangstars is where he spent most of his time in the Global Series and did very well. He's been to probably 2 or 3 lands at this point. I want to say closer to 3. He's coming back in here with a vengeance, running his own style of loadout. I believe that's the exaction loadout that he's taken this time around, picking up a little Rejuvenate, a little morale boost.
It is.
Yeah, he ran this on Bright Marsh last week, and I'm pretty sure they played Bork. So we were questioning, are they just that much better that they can do this type of stuff? We just saw Downfall switching roles and doing whatever they wanted against Bork, so maybe that was just the way that matchup was shaking out for them. But Zenith, Downfall, this is an uphill battle, so the standings would have us think for Team Zenith. So Niu, still with a lot on the line, is going to take this loadout into the realm. Shadow can't buy a victory here. His impact has not been felt. I think this is his best map. I think Shadow is probably the best player currently on DPS in this matchup, and he has just been shut down entirely.
And it's kind of crazy to think about that. Again, just looking at the impact from week to week to week. Week 1, week 2, Shadow is probably, like you said, one of the #1 players, if not the #1 player that we've gotten to see. He's going for the over-the-wall. Unfortunately, falls behind. He's still going to have to roll around, but, I mean, that's a second King Bomb that, yeah, you're
Who did that?
You're not going to get Flame? Flame walked out of that alive.
He sure did, Gore. He sure did. Who did that play, though? You remember that? Somebody did that. King Bomb over that wall, quadra kill.
I can't remember, but I just remember
Somebody did that,
it
though.
blew my mind.
Yeah, somebody did that. Close, but no cigar there. For Senor Shadow. Nice Dread Serpent.
Maybe it was Shadow in the past.
I don't know who the hell that was meant for, but did not find the invisible sixth man there. Firebomb out onto a Gnar. Good God! That is some damage coming out of Tyra. Out onto William 355. Another very top-tier PGS player. Used to team with Rubu and Rock Monkey, if my memory serves me. So comes from a good blood, a good cloth.
Friends with the Stock Boys. we know you're good. No, either way, they're coming in, and this is a different Zenith than I expected to see today. Like, out of all the matchups today that have confused me, this game 1 and the one that we saw earlier in Europe, where it was very similar, where it's just a 4-0 from the team that should be completely down against our team. Now you're starting to see Zenith come up, and this is what I want to see out of teams. This is the change that they've needed to make from week to week that we haven't seen out of everybody, and I think, like you said earlier, Neo has been kind of a shoo-in for them.
And I believe same story with Zarini. Flame is going to start subbing or playing for somebody in the PPL. I can't remember which team exactly made that announcement, but I do believe Flame is planning on playing for someone in the PPL later in the week. 50 seconds now on the clock as we're getting more towards the end of this round. So it'll be interesting, and the reason I'm noting this type of stuff is that the minor league will continue to be in flux. What we're seeing now is not going to be like the Global Series, where what we see in the first week is what we're going to see for the rest of the month. I think these teams are constantly changing people out. We still have yet to reach a point where we're settling in. Watkins does now find this first kill. Zenith, they're going to try and get this 4-0 done and dusted here. Ice Shield is not going to find much effect in this. Flame might pop the ultimate, and he will. He wants to just go toe-to-toe with this Ruckus. But his team, they're entirely dead around him as soon as the ult expires. So will Flame.
And they're finally going to be able to get him. Looking for the knockoff that entire fight, but goes for it. That Inflame kind of only did a little bit in terms of stalling. If Shadow can get a kill here, make a big difference. Those are the moments that are mattering. Finally putting his name on the board, dies at the end. But I think this does come down to the fact that when you look at Zenith, you have Watkins, you have Neo all being able to get kills, you have streaks for the front lines as well. And then you look at Downfall, and I do see Edgem being able to find shots, find kills. Shadow is 6 and 5. He's finding the kills. He's obviously finding the damage, but I just haven't felt his presence anywhere near as much.
Well, to be fair, he found 2 of those in the slow-mo of the last round.
Yeah,
so he would have been, I guess that puts him at about 4 and 4. And that's not good enough, right? Shadow has got to be what he's been for Downfall if they want to maintain their lead. It doesn't matter that they've switched out one of their frontline players there for William. He's got to continue to be incredibly impactful here if they want to stay on or near the top.
And all the highlights we had for Jay were him on an R. Like this is, it's literally just ignore the fact that it says William, pretend it says Jay.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, William played for, it's not like that's a big stretch for William either, so no excuses anywhere. I don't think it's anyone's fault in particular. You just got to be as good as you're expected to be. King Bomb rolling out here. Likely to find some effectiveness. Goremizer finds 3 in the backline, but who does he want to kill? That's the question. He only gets 1. The indecision means that he will not bring 2 down with him, and that is a bit of a blunder.
That was a guy who hadn't eaten 3 days in front of a buffet, trying to figure out what do I eat first, loading his plate with maybe too much, and he only walked away with a single bite before he just passed out.
Yeah, and that's like your steak gets in the ketchup a little bit, and you're just like, oh god, now I don't want either of these things anymore. Niu finds 2, rocking and rolling here. Grumpy Bomb's gonna stun him out, but it don't matter. 69 and climbing. Downfall likely don't have a way back into this one. There's too many people out zoning, too many people trying to slow. Ooh. I was a little emo. I was confused at what that was. I thought that was the shoulder bash windup, but then she just kind of stood there, and I was like, wait, what's happening with this? What's going on here? Zenith, I got to say, rather unexpected win there. They kind of go with what they know. We're memeing the Tyra a little bit at this point. I think that's fair, but it is working currently for them.
And honestly, that's all they need, right? They had a great performance out of Watkins at the beginning, and as Tyra slowly fell off, Neo picked up and started picking up on the Cassie and started finding those kills that were kind of necessary. I feel like if Shadow had been ever present, it might have been a little bit more of a different story for them, but because of his lack of explosiveness in this game, it just didn't really impact it.
Kudos to Zenith. My money was on Downfall for that one. I liked their draft. I liked everything about they had going for them. Let's get it back to the desk and see what they thought.
Zenith off to a rocking start here in game number 1 of our series, and the Tyra, the Cassie, the Barrack, it all just seemed to be working out for him. And Neo, one of the guys I want to touch on before we get into the post-game stats and all that, I think his first week with the team was last week, and he found a lot of success last week as well. And he's picked up right where he left off. He's finding more success here against one of the harder teams, Downfall.
Yeah, and this is one of the issues when you don't ban Cassie, and this is what EU is saying.
Right.
There's such reliability for the potential to pop off, and sometimes it can just get too far ahead of you, especially if Watkins is not having a bad game, and let alone having a good game like he did prior. But yeah, you're right. Niu is really the conversation. He's one of those guys that just, to me, is always so talented. Very much like a Simsaloo E, to where Simsaloo has kind of done it a little bit more at a higher level. He's had the chance to be on the PPL a little bit. He's won a LAN as well. He's had these moments. However, Niu's done the same level of efficacy, but just kind of been in and out of the scene. Never really found his perfect staying spot. If he can find a consistent role here in the PML and keep doing things like this, the world is his oyster.
It's actually hilarious. I noticed this because, and this is a good thing, because he was on our highlights last week as well. He sprays almost after every single kill he gets.
Toxic.
He did it again there. Like throughout every single highlight clip you'll get from him, you hear just a little tss in the background almost every single time. But when you're rolling the way he is, when you're as hot as he is, I mean, got to show off a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
On the flip side, though, you look at Downfall. What do you need to change? What do you need to look at going into map number 2?
I think they probably just were caught off guard with the efficacy of Niu and the way that he was playing. I think overall the Watkins strategy with the Tyra feels blanket. It feels like a coverall for them. They've done it so much that I don't think they were afraid of it. And I think Downfall did not give it enough respect. The Hunter's Mark is a very valuable thing to play with. It gives you the vision. And on a small map like that, there's already not a lot of ways you can attack that point fight. So Edgen being constantly damage amped against and also having the vision on him, he wasn't able to have the freedom of movement he would have liked to. He's an aggressive style player, and that really shut down a lot of his aggressiveness.
Absolutely, but they're a team that is 2-0 for a reason. Certainly not something you can count out after only one game.
It's going to be a long one, I think.
This will be a long one, and hopefully it is. We've seen a lot of quick sweeps today, potentially a longer one coming out here. Splitstone Quarry is going to be our second map, so this one is traditionally a bit of a longer one after a 4-1 on Jaguar Falls. Bit of a slower map here on Splitstone Quarry.
Splitstone is a interesting map here, and you could tell they're trying to extend these things. These two pick their maps. First two are already picked, so they already knew they wanted to come here whether they won or lost. So now we're going to see a chance for, I believe, Zenith to actually play on their selected map. So they ended up winning on Jag Falls, and now they have a chance to go to their map. So this is a super strong start for them. And if they do carry this momentum into a second game, this could go the distance because, you know, maybe Downfall aren't very good at Splitstone. Maybe they know that. And I guess we are hearing that this is Downfall's map. So interesting.
Okay.
Zenith will now have the second pick and be able to go against where hopefully Downfall will find a little bit of momentum back their way.
Electing to take away the Kinessa. Not super surprising on a map like Splitstone, Corey. That's certainly a champion that you've seen have a lot of success on a map like this. Instead, electing to go Makoa first pick. Zenith now having a chance to answer back. And they're going to answer back with the Damba as their first pick. So pretty standard across the board there. Damba Khan answering back to the Makoa. Makoa is a champion that does find a good bit of pressure on any map, but this map as well, when you're able to utilize that dredge anchor, getting people off the high ground, getting people off the point, tossing people into the fidget spinner in the back of Splitstone, Corey. So I like Makoa anyway, but I like him on this map as well.
Yeah, he does really well controlling that underneath bunker in the fidget spinner area, the grinder area, so to speak. And Zenith respond with some great picks themselves. There's not a lot of consistency in terms of these crucial bans, although the Torvald and the Grover seem to be the two that NA is sticking with, especially in this lineup. Edgem on snipers is well respected, and Zenith don't want any business with that. They also banned the Grover, grabbed the Damba early to try to give themselves an advantage as far as healing, and this could be interesting. Downfall can go for the Furia, they can also go for the Yang, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to go for the double deployable style of play. A Flex Grok here would be interesting for Zenith, as more of a way Perdo would play it as a pseudo DPS and also to hard counter the Barrack and the Yang.
Rende calling out the Grok. We'll see what the fifth and final pick is going to be. It's going to be a Tyra.
Oh, what?
So,
wow. Surprised.
Not to not be expected is Watkins going back onto his Tyra, but you know, when it works out as well as it does in the last game,
the man's brand
Cassie
is
as well. They're
so strong.
They're bringing back the 1-2. He has a strong
His branding
Tyra
is
brand.
incredible. His manager is like, stay on brand, Watkins, stay on brand.
Watkins, do not deviate from the
We
Tyra.
talked about your brand, like you need to get it right. How else am I going to make you big?
Well, game 2 it is. Looking to stay on brand with a win. Number 2, Splitstone Quarry is going to be our map. Zenith and Downfall are going to be our teams. Downfall looking to answer back, but I can't tell you any more about it. The guys in the caster booth are going to have to do that for you. Nick, Gore, take it away.
Take it we shall, down to Splitstone Quarry, and we jumped all the way off the Foresman Rise. It was a long fall, but we made it here safely. No falling damage in the realm. God bless.
Now we get to go to a map that, we had mentioned this earlier, but we've been coming to Splitstone Quarry early in a lot of sets these last few weeks. That it was kind of surprising that over the last, I think last week and this week, it hadn't been there as often, so not too surprising to have it come up as map number 2, and also not too surprising to see Shadow go back to Eevee, try to feel comfortable on a comfort map for them as well.
Blinks to the back line, soars on in. Does not quite find what he's looking for. A little 4-man clumping up here on the high ground, but everyone forgot about it. Nara, Mage Monkey's like, what about me, dude? I need healing, team. And then he's dead. Nobody else can help him. Soaring in again, going fishing for the healer, but Shadow very quick on the retreat. Normally we wait to see, as an Eevee player, you know, if you take a shot or something like that, that's what's going to force you out. He had a good angle. You know, Maldamba wasn't really looking at him. He could have afforded to take a couple of pop shots at him, soften that target up for the next time he blinks in, and maybe be his own follow-up in a sense. But despite losing a Nara out of the gate, their team Zenith is off to a roaring start here, 75 and climbing. Peg and Khan with a nice little presence there. The kill's going to come through. Edgem gets his cooldown reduction, now turns his sights back onto the objective, however missing largely onto Maldamba. He'll escape with his life.
I think the harder we meme Watkins for playing Tyra, the better his Tyra becomes, because there's a point where it was just timing based, whatever it was. Shadow finally gets rid of him, but earlier Shadow's trying to blink around, stay out of it, just rolled into it!
Oh no, dude! Oh.
The worst timeline.
He rolled too close to the sun. He rolled and he rolled and he rolled. And he rolled himself right on home. Damn,
the drill's
dog.
home?
Just when we were talking about how sick Niu is. He turns his brain off.
Well, I mean, that's just the case. And now it's kind of opened the door back, I want to say, for Shadow, who we've been talking more negatively about these last couple of games because he just hasn't been having the same performance, at least that I have in my head for him. And so now he's at this point. It's 99 to 84. They can get rid of that Inara one more time. Ninny's not around. The healers are gone. The kills are coming through.
Yeah, buddy.
And this is what you need if you're Downfall.
He's starting to roll here. Fortunately to his death, Shadow coming on the line, finding big shots, finding good angles too. Even if it's shooting Inara, right? He landed probably 3 or 4 shots onto Inara there. And that's fine, might as well, right? He ends up getting the killing blow on her and then can kind of rip open the back line from there on out. 2:08 on this clock now. A very different story being told here. Downfall and Zenith going very, very back and forth on that first objective. But Downfall managed to come away with it after it flip-flopped hands a couple of times here. Shadow almost gets Commanders grabbed. In fact, I think Khan thought that he had that one locked in. Flame Effects kind of stood there for a second as if to say, well, this is all I get to do after my animation. And wait, I didn't hit this one. Gets punished for it. 1:43 on the clock now. This payload has not stopped moving here. Momentum is entirely shifted to Downfall.
And Zenith is alive. They're trying to regroup, but they're kind of locked inside their base. There's going to be the overpower yeet for Tay into the base to make sure that he ends up going down. But it's going to be the one kill. Can they continue that roll, stop this momentum? 1:20 is plenty of time for a push, especially with how hard it is. So Zenith are going to have to do some really good zoning.
They certainly are. Plenty of ultimates to spare as well. I wonder which ones will probably kick off this push. Payload is starting to kind of roll backwards now as if no offense contests it. You can see that little backwards indicator on the top hand of your screen. Will indicate this payload is starting to break the corner. But it doesn't matter too much here. They've got the payload roughly where they need it. They just got to find a frag, but Watkins is slowing this whole thing down. And right when this offense happened, not directly as a result of Niu killing himself, but, you know, that was certainly a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
You got to wonder, all right, how much can Downfall really do once this momentum slows down a little bit? Once Zenith kind of collect themselves again and say, all right, we're not going to make big mistakes like that anymore. We're going to start playing like ourselves.
Especially if this goes 1-1, right? So if Downfall come up 2-0 there, I actually think it benefits Zenith because all they have to do is play very similar to the beginning of last round and they get the point. If this goes 1-1, that I think shows the pure test of how Downfall can do, and it's going to be partially shown here through whether or not they can find the push, if they use any of the ults, the Dome Shield, the Ancient Rage, to try and push it forward, or if they just decide to let it go for a little bit, go 1-1 and keep it tied.
Well, it's been a pretty quiet mid-round here. Edgem's the first to fall, so the defense getting 3 kills for nothing right off the rip. No ultimates used by the offense here. Looks like it will be a pretty quiet good night here in the first round. Zenith will defend successfully. The scoreboard now reads 1-1. Plenty of ultimates available in the next round, so I'm expecting a very different fight. Almost ripped through 3 people there, but ends up getting the killing blow at least onto 1. Great stuff there from Edgem and the gang as they took the first point.
And that was just a clean setup, too. The team kind of recognized where they needed to collapse, I like, because we saw Shadow's initial perspective of that, of going in on the Inara, blinking forward, dropping the Ice Storm, and kind of helping Edgem connect all those kills. Of course, Edgem was doing a little bit on his own as well, but now that they're coming into this, I want to say more confident in their ability. Shadow seems to be kind of hitting that stride again, finding his rhythm. That's where things get dangerous. Edgem's already firing on all cylinders. If everyone else starts joining him, then this becomes a much more skewed matchup.
Plenty of ultimates to try and skew the matchup even further. Again, a lot of early pressure out onto the Sonara. Got to make sure that you keep attention on her. Boxing out back and forth. Barrick in some trouble. Inara wants the kill. She's going to dive off the objective for it. Ying ultimate is popped here to resuscitate Barrick back to full HP. The Dome Shield will separate Inara from the rest of her team. Shadow's buzzing around, trying to find the first blood in this round, but so far, no good. Nobody has dropped a kill.
And now you're standing, you have the overpower, you have at least a little bit of ability, or actually use your overpower, still maintaining that 30%, but not the connections that they need. The kills still coming through, but Shadow is the one who's returning it over, finding a double kill for himself. They use a couple of ults, but they have an Enlightenment. Once Edgem's back, I expect to see him making a pretty big splash.
Definitely. A couple of shots there whiffed, but Shadow gets the kill all the same. Edgem with a little bit of the help. Big boys boxing out on the top half of that fight. Shadow comes in and tilts the odds in his team's favor, 75% and climbing now. Downfall have 1 ultimate to hold this one strong with Inara is working her way back to the objective. She's gonna get there. She's gonna get that touch. Stop the capture just for a moment here. Get the overtime started, and actually doesn't die there, surprisingly enough. Very, very surprised to see her still standing. Maldamba must have been just behind on the rotation. This is it. Do or die for Zenith. Niu committed to the back line here. Hits the shots, and Lightman's going to be good, but not enough damage to take Niu down.
And now he's dancing around the corner. He has vision on the point. He needs exactly what he has. They get rid of Tay. They get rid of Edgem. They kill off William 355. It doesn't matter where the other two are. They have the point.
Great stuff there. What a comeback from Team Zenith. All starts, of course, with Inara being able to make it back there. Maldamba being able to keep her alive. The front line from Zenith definitely confident enough to W key out into danger, out into harm's way. They don't really have anybody else to do it, right? They don't have that Eevee, they don't have that Zen, they don't have anybody to kind of dance out there with cooldown, so got to take a firm stance. Niu also commending him, I think, for the committal stance that he took. He went pretty deep into the enemy back line and said, this is it, do or die, I got to hit these shots, and he does. Also calculating in his head that, like, I actually can take this Enlightenment and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I'll just get the kill and nobody else is really looking at me. So this is fine. I'm not going to risk dropping this kill. I'm going to take this on the chin and finish off Liana before I give her a chance to slide away.
And that's something I feel like we don't see players often do. Like, a lot of moments, that is a very panic, I'm going to do whatever I can to get out of here kind of moment for people. And so not only recognizing I can take this damage, but I can get this kill. I can stay over here. I can peek the front lines. Like, I can still be useful through this fight even though I'm about to eat an ult to the face. And at the same time making Edgem pretty much waste his kit on you. You were able to accomplish a lot there for Neo, and him kind of riding that momentum into now. I mean, he's still on this 6th streak. He's still finding kills, still finding good damage. And with no one looking at him, again, the distraction coming down from Flame as well as William are spot on.
Red Serpent did come out trying to spark this fight up. It allowed for a decent chunk of the push to happen, but no kills necessarily. And these Dread Serpents have been pretty good, but I haven't seen a ton of kills off of them. And I think that's a really big area for improvement that could easily swing things further in favor of Team Zenith than they are at the moment here. Lightman is up. Damn near every ultimate is up. Forced downfall here. Zenith with a lot of their resources of their own. Target swap here from Edgem. Does end up getting Inara when it's all said and done, though, but fight just kind of falls apart. There will be, I think, probably one more attempt.
Neo's low, and the question is whether or not they can find the shots. Not going to be able to connect all of them, so he's going to stay not only alive through that, but help return a lot of this damage that's been causing his team a lot of havoc.
Whoa.
Maybe finding a kill here onto William.
Okay.
And even though it's going to be in overtime, that opens up this push again.
Yeah, they're going for it here in a big, big way. 8 seconds left on the barracks respawn. Another kill needs to happen, though. They have to keep this man advantage going. If they want this Khan ultimate to be worth it, they just slide it through, though. I mean, where was Makoa in that instance?
Almost dead. Not quite dead. Tay was one shot.
Did somebody
from
pull him
Neo
away? Was that a commander's grab?
I mean,
What?
Overpowered was used. Did it happen to grab him?
No, it grabbed Barrack. That's what gave them that man advantage right at the start.
I remember that. We watched it happen.
I don't know. I don't see Tay lapsing when you're not fight. Like, they kind of backed off to wait for William as best they could. They didn't exactly get lost in the chaos of this fight that they took because they didn't take a fight. They just stood there. They just hung out. The payload still goes through. The scoreboard still reads 3-1, and hopefully that doesn't tilt Downfall too much. It's one of those mistakes that could certainly tilt you and have that really negative impact. But you got to stay strong here. You got to make sure you keep your head on a swivel. Look out for everyone in every angle, because now Zenith are on game point.
And this is the one that matters the most for Downfall, just because they have comeback mechanic. You have to be able to prove to yourself that you can at least win one of these kinds of fights. But again, Neo doesn't care. He's going to go deep. There's an Ancient Rage for him in his face. He turns around. It doesn't even matter that he dies there because he kills off the support.
Neo, man, he was playing at 3 million actions per minute right there. He was staring every which way. Triple kill.
It matters a little.
Looking for the stylish quadra kill there, but can't quite find it. Flame escapes with minimal HP there. Fast cap enabled. Downfall. Looks like they will probably be able to just take this one without any contest here. I don't see, unless it's Niu just diving off the top rope, or maybe a commander's grab from up above. It's going to be both of them. And they both die for it. That's what I don't like, though. If you're going to do that, that's fine. Just communicate it so only one of you kills yourself.
Yeah. Unfortunately, both not only fall, but both die, and they still end up losing the point. Downfall kind of showing that they're still in this. And as much as it was at the beginning of that fight, I'm thinking Neo killed off the support. Yes, there's an Ancient Rage right in front of him, but the rest of the team, like, they should be able to deal with this. Once his damage was gone, it kind of felt like there was nobody else. Like, I mean, immediately you have Nini getting focused down. You have the rest of Zenith kind of getting pressured out, and to the point where they felt like the ones who were at the deficit. They felt like they were the ones who didn't have the healing, and it's just because of where they were taking the fight.
Yeah, that really did almost work out for Neo. He wanted that Ying. You can see he rolled into that room, and he was just like flash checking every door as fast as humanly possible. And my goodness, it almost kind of worked out for me. Almost manages to trade out and live there, but unfortunately not. And Edgem backs up onto the firebomb. Will die too at 1:35 now on the clock. The hardest corner to break is being broken very quickly in both of these offenses from Downfall here. But they need an opportunity, I think, to really get a good attempt at this final little home stretch push, and they have not had the opportunity to do so in their offense prior.
And this is an area that is very awkward to try and be the offensive team in for the same reason that you would see on like Ice Mines very early on. And it's just, they can see every entrance that you're going to try to come through. They know where you're going to be. They can see your positioning before you're there.
Especially
and
with
so
the Tyra.
trying to take that fight, it's not going to work well. Tyra firebombs off one door. Where are you going to go now? There's only 2 other entrances.
Yeah, she's marking characters. It's one of the few abilities that gives that team-wide vision. So she can sort of, you know, see your rotations before they happen in a way. Niu finds one to answer back, shutting down Eevee. One of the more important parts of this team fight. Hits the spray before he gets plastered to the wall by the cannonball from Makoa. Tay working his way around. Not sure if he wants to go in or out here. Rotating up to help his Leon. Doesn't have the dredge anchor either, so just backpedals off of high. Gets himself back to safety. 2 marks out, 1 on Makoa, 1 on Leon. 20 seconds on the clock. Ultimates to be used. Offense ready to set the pace, and defense hoping to respond.
Whether or not Downfall want to commit to this is probably the big question for it. Zenith, if they don't reply with ults and they go into this on an even footing with more ults in their wheelhouse, they're definitely going to be able to control the fight. But Downfall have to pop something now. They have a low Makoa and Tay, but no Ancient Rage pop just yet.
This next blink is probably going to get a kill. Aggressive Commander's Grab, just trying to change the favor back up. Watkins trading out relatively evenly with Edgem, but they're just holding hands so effectively on the high ground. I think that's a really good firebomb. Might not get the kill just yet, but this is a game of inches right now. Everyone is so close to death, but Downfall just play this fight by you know, a hair's margin better, and it literally results in the payload being pushed. Not a single ultimate, I don't believe, was popped. That was just really, really good base kit play for both teams.
And being able to use it as well is the distraction factor.
Nice cancel.
William 355 is going to be sitting on the point. We have Barrick dancing around this objective. You do not have anyone else around that objective, but you have Makoa coming around the other side. Watkins is in this awkward boxing match with this Makoa, trying to shoot him down, then Tay gets healed up. Shoot him down, Tay gets healed up. Finally turns around and is like, okay, well, if you have the healer, I'll kill off Barrick, and we'll deal with him. The minute he
Somebody's
takes his
not
eyes,
getting healed here. I gotta just figure out who.
The minute he takes his eyes off Tay, though, Tay gets aggressive. Tay gets in their face, and Makoa does enough damage already, let alone when you're not looking at him, that opened up the door for this 13 streak to be burning.
It's really, really good play there, the way they were able to kind of just trade in and out effectively, passing the baton around like a well-synchronized relay team. Peel coming out for Barrick. He needs to stay alive here, certainly. Cassie does pop her ultimate, so she's immune to the hook for the time being. Ying ultimate in combination, weathering the storm of the seismic crash. Niu trying to squeak his way into the backline again. Nobody taking a very commanding lead here. Shadow's looking for the kill onto Anar, and he might just get it.
Doing whatever he can. Neo trying to find the shots right here. Watkins goes down. Neo goes down. That's the damage dealers for Zenith, and now it's looking like it's going to be a frontline flame.
And the spray.
I think just recognizes that he's not going to be able to stand long. The rest of his team has run away. Now you have Mage Monkey and Nini running off.
I mean, Tay is just taking over the game here. I'm going to go 15 streak, burning 72 to 27. The inverse cap going on here at the moment. Shadow trying to keep pressure on Niu to prevent him. And Nar's close. I don't know if she'll really get there in time. One more tick's going to do it. And Khan is a little bit too slow across the finish line there. Close but no cigar. Kind of a meh team fight there. Not a ton of ultimates popped, but just super solid base kit play from Downfall. It's almost like trying to continue to call the bluff of someone playing poker, like you're gonna ult, you're gonna ult, you're gonna ult, and they just never did, and they just kind of played better the whole time.
And Tay was doing phenomenal as well. Like when you take it all to the base kit, no one's throwing out their ults, and you're just like, well, I mean, I'm Makoa. I'm gonna hook you. I'm gonna shoot you. You're not gonna be able to escape me. And early on in that fight, Watkins as well as Neo just get taken out because they couldn't take care of that presence.
Super good stuff there. It's gonna even up our set 1 apiece. Let's get it back to the desk and keep on moving.
Thank you very much, friends in the booth. So tying it up 1-1 is Downfall, unable to hurdle the turtle. Is Team Zenith there? That was pretty good.
I think so. I think the turtle was more the one doing the hurdling, unfortunately.
Right, unable to hurdle him was the Zenith lineup.
Okay.
It's a multi-tiered.
Unable to jump over. Okay, to get over the block. That was the. I get that.
Something.
Yes, no, it works. It does work. You know, now that you brought it to my attention.
Something along those lines. But the point being that Tay really came alive there on the Makoa towards the end of the game. Obviously, Edgem, Shadow putting out huge damage numbers, but the 15 max streak on Tay really making his presence felt. I know I made the hurdle pun, but that was just too much for Zenith to get over.
It was.
Just too much presence.
Yeah, it was. And I think it was this last point fight. This is the first one. Some good moments here and there, and a great enlightenment that deserves a yeet from all corners of the world. But I think really that last point fight was just a masterclass in what Makoa likes to do.
Right.
He just set things up so well, and the bait for the Ancient Rage was supreme, and he really just played it with the level of patience that you have to have in those situations.
Sure.
But it's so hard to have because you are there sitting, I have this ult, someone's dying, someone's close to death, should I just run in, should I body block? One of the things I loved in that fight was he doesn't need the shield for himself, but he just goes out shields for a little while, gives some cover to the barrack as he's rotating,
sure.
and then supports his teammate, and then at the right moment, man, he grabs Khan, almost gets him into the grinder. Unfortunately, cannot do it, but it baits, needs you out, needs you rolls in, trying to finish him off.
Right.
Ancient Rage cleans up both of them.
Yeah, and that's a big storyline to look at as well as the Neo, the Watkins, not finding the same stride that they were able to in the last game. We'll get a peek at map number 3 here on the screen. It is going to be Ice Mines. I hear a groan coming from the caster booth. I think that's Gormizer in my head. Not a vocal groan, just a spiritual
groan.
Right.
Yeah.
Ice Mines it is, though, and it is picked out for a reason here from Zenith. So not the most common pick, but potentially bodes to them knowing how to play or knowing a strategy on this map to get a win.
It was really weird how we saw this so much in the weeks prior then missed it for all the first 3 sets that we saw, and now it's coming back here, and maybe it's because this is one of the more contentious sets that they're going to have today,
right?
And they want every little advantage they can get. Sometimes, though, this does not help you, especially if you're going for now your counter match pick because you've just lost to Downfall. You don't want them to get momentum, so you take a slow map like Ice Mines.
Right.
If it has the opposite effect, it's really demoralizing for these guys. So hopefully they find something that ends up working out here, and the early Makoa, it's strong, but it feels a bit reactionary.
Right.
It feels a bit reactionary because of how well they saw it played.
Right, and that's fair. I mean, it's reactionary, but also I think them looking at hoping to replicate, I guess that means it is I guess that's exactly what you're trying to get at. I mean, it's a champion with such high potential. I mean, it's when it's played like that, it can really turn the tide of some of these games. So obviously hoping to replicate something like that here on Ice Mines. Ash, Cassie, Ying. Going to be the first 3 for Downfall. Maldamba, Bomb King wrapping up after the Makoa there. I like the Bomb King map here on Ice Mines.
Yeah, Bomb King's a great counter to a lot of the aggressiveness that some teams may try to put together, and especially with the Makoa, it now also lends you to be aggressive, and the Barrack's a solid point take, so you can send BK and Makoa to do their thing. The Grok can kind of isolate and play off the Ying and, of course, the Inara Warders Field turrets that are allowed to get on that map and cause a lot of distress. But the Drogos here is the big issue. They draft this lineup that's so aggressive, but they don't have any hit scan, really. It's really just the Grok.
How do you deal with the... You got to lean on the Grok?
You know, we've seen it before. It's not all out because Ice Mines is so close,
That's
Dave.
True.
It's
That's
like the shock pulses are going to hit the Drogos with the right build here for Zenith. So I'm excited. They could still make it work, but This Drogos could be a problem.
Drogos could be a problem. Lots of questions that hopefully will be answered, and they will be answered as we get into game number 3. The band is rocking. Ice Mines is the pick. Friends in the booth, take it away.
Not only Frozen Guard, but Ice Mines too. I guess just winter is metal. Winter is the most metal season of all 4.
I was actually mentioning it to Dave that it's kind of weird that this is like, it's a really, really hype intro song for an Ice Mines game. Like, it's like, yeah, let's go 4-3, brother.
22 minutes of grinding,
hot action.
halting, hating yourself on Ice Mine. Grok Lobster, though. Watkins, what can he do without Tyra? Put together one of the ugliest Grok combinations I have ever seen.
0 points for Skinnergy here.
Yes. But sometimes like the dis-synergy can actually be a synergy, you know, if you just go full troll with whatever you're playing. Looking for a clone to bounce a shock pulse or 2 or 1700 off of this whole game is going to be about those shock pulses. And, you know, that was part of the first blood there. T-Mac was already a little bit poked out from some of the shock pulses coming through. They banned out the Tyra, but frankly the Makoa was the big problem for them in that last game.
And honestly, I feel like, yes, you're going to Ice Mines, and I think Tyra has some potency here, but I feel like the same potency, or the same reason she would be potent on this map is the same reason Grok is going to look good. Like, I think Watkins pretty much picked the exact same kind of style to play on, where it's just, you're going to be grouped up. Like, whether it's a firebomb and bullets, or if it's going to be a shock pulse and some lightning bolts, you're going to take a ton of damage here. And you're going to have to stand next to each other and do it. The only way to fight us and not take that damage is to get so spread out that there's no way you could actually win an engagement.
And Evan's right. These shock pulses are going to get to the Drogos. Just like they got to that Ying for first blood. They're going to make their way to the backline. Tempest comes out, try and keep the momentum rocking and rolling. And Shadow is not flying so far above this map that he's not going to get hit by these hooks, shot by these cannons, blown up by Niyu's Bomb King. There is a lot of other ways to pressure this guy out unless Shadow really takes to the skies. And an interesting hook from Flame. I like what I'm seeing. It's going to result in a kill as well, but not a ton of Drogos, at least in this iteration. Combustible used to be the move on Ice Mines for sure. But Wormjets, I don't know that this is really the free-flying map that Drogos in his current iteration is going to succeed well on.
And it kind of feels awkward. I feel like, again, when we mention the maps that Drogos can work well on, Ice Mines isn't one that comes up often. It's never one that we say, oh, he's going to be awful on, but it kind of feels like Shadow's performance again today has been very hit or miss. Sometimes it looks really good, sometimes it's falling on its face. This one so far still has yet to showcase, I think, where it's going to fully flourish or not, but it's been very back and forth.
Yeah, the Bomb King on Jaguar Falls, that was very odd that it didn't perform well. Drogos here, I could see why he wouldn't be doing it. Oh, and it looks like he is actually combustible, so I'm going to go ahead and eat my words there a little bit. I just assumed he was Wormjets. So we'll be able to still kind of play that style. But now we get to see if it's still as effective as it was last season. The major thing that it lost, of course, was one of those loadout cards score.
Follow the Scent losing that anti-heal, mainly that he had that ability to apply that to multiple people. Now, just going to have to deal with the amount of damage he outputs, but he won't be able to eat through it. Has to wait for his Cauterize to come online, but you can see the damage numbers work. He can shoot around corners. He can deal with Neo like it's nothing. And so you just need that, but you need that all the time.
Still big damage for sure, and this damage still translates into ultimate charge, which I think they were thinking is going to be a good answer for Makoa to keep him in check in a lot of ways. The Ancient Rages were very, very good for Downfall last game, and that's what was able to kind of take over. And, you know, triple kill, 15 streak, I think it was. By the end of the day, Tay was just dominating on this pick with this ultimate, so hopefully Drogos can do a little bit to keep him in check. Overtime has started. Flame gets caught on the door frame, it looks like, and he will be taken down as a result.
Shots coming down, Tay doing whatever he can. The low health, dancing around with everybody.
Doing literally no damage at the stage of the game.
It feels so awkward when you, when you're like, you're pumping 4 or 5 shots in, and then like they just kind of shrug it off.
Omega lol.
But when you look at the damage on the other side, I mean, Grok, I wouldn't be surprised when we go to the damage charts after this inevitably that is absolutely him on top, because he's just constantly hitting shock pulses, constantly getting more damage, and surprisingly enough, getting more kills than I think I would give credit to an early game Grok, especially when there's like a Bomb King, there's a Makoa on the team.
Yeah. And it's just a battle of the Pokeboys up at the top right now, Shadow and Watkins. with combustible fire spits and shock pulses, kind of ripping around the battlefield, poking people around corners and stuff. That's the name of the game, though. That's what makes those abilities unique, is their ability to break you out of cover. And you're not really exactly safe unless you're completely out of line of sight of your teammates and of Drogo's fire spit there. Watkins goes for the morale, too, really early on.
5, 4.
One thing we've seen, and we mentioned this earlier on the desk, was that Grok is charging a lot of ults per round. Morale boost is just going to make that happen even more often. It's actually kind of surprising because Shadow on the Drogo is another kind of champion that I think lately I've seen more meta to pick up a morale boost just to get your ult online a little more often, get more executes available, is not going for that route just yet, and is still trying to kind of deal with the anti-heal and stop Zenith from being able to just out-heal all the damage they're throwing.
Well, you can't get Dragon Punch if the first person you kill is Drogos, and that's a really good way to...
good strategy.
It's a way to balance that math equation there. Dimensional Link. The King Bomb does get there in time. Holy movement speed, Batman. Was that a Tempest? It was a Tempest.
That had to be Tempest.
Boost and flame effects to glory and victory, and huge 200 damage cannonball. Eats the fire spit with the shell shield as well. Great stuff all around. And T-Mac must have Dimensional Linked back to West China, right? Because I'm not sure where he went, but he somehow died near the point. And at the end of the day, it is going to go the way of Team Zenith.
And this is, again, when you go back to what Ice Mines is at its core, it's a point fight. You're trying to win the point fight. The push is icing on top of the cake. You're trying to do what Downfall, or what Zenith have done, what Downfall have been unable to do, which is control the objective as best you can. The Dragon Punch flies through, gets rid of Mage Monkey, but this is where Watkins comes in, right? Again, they're all grouped up. He's still getting all this damage down for free.
All right, Grok, let's do it.
Finally
1v5, easy for the boy. Look at this. He's about to pop off. He's popping off.
Here
popping
it comes.
off. Give me Grok's perspective right now. He's popping off. He's hitting all the shock pulses. He's farming the damage. Easy. Totem goes down. They just can't stop him. Ghost Walk immunes the damage. Tempest over the top. This could actually flip. I was trolling before, but this could turn into something real as Grok makes his way out of this team fight. Back in hot rotation. Watkins, God mode activated. You thought it was a troll. It's for real. The shock pulses. Oh no. Oh no. Collapse from Downfall. They thought they knew what they were doing, but you can't stop the Grok Lobster. Rock hard abs. He dominates that team fight. What an absolute monster of a man. Take your time, Gore.
I'm trying to put myself in Downfall shoes.
Take
right?
your time.
You're sitting there and you're like, all right,
oh no,
we're going to stagger the kill. Trust me, this is the plan. Everybody agrees on it. Staggering that kill, smart idea.
These 5 boys have never felt stupider in their lives.
Then they're like, man, this totem kind of heals a lot. Oh, dude,
Oh
Ghost
God,
Walk?
he can
Oh my
fly.
God, he has Tempest?
He's flying. Yeah, I mean, he's
Like-
morale boost, and you're just letting him free farm.
He's just preaching. He already has it back. He could do it again if he wanted to.
What a beast. I mean, from a Tyro 1-trick to maybe a Grok 1-trick, he's probably having the time of his life. What's the damage chart looking like now? Because real talk, I mean, he probably farmed 15,000 damage in that team fight. He was shredding. Another Tempest is going to come out. It's going to slow down Drogos. He might just be the Dragon Slayer as well. What do you need Watkins to do? He can do literally anything. The wall is going to prevent Ash from getting out of this fight. King Bomb rolls in. Gormizer, this could be a 3-1 slash line before we know it, and it is that way. Watkins, hit the slide, baby. You earned it.
The 11th Street for the Grok. The almost 100,000 damage, the 5-1-14 slash line, and there it is, the loadout. This is nothing atypical. I'd
That's a
actually say
highlight,
Phantom
baby.
is kind of interesting to have in there, as well as Astral Traveler. But, I mean, you're looking at, again, damage in the first 3 cards, survivability in the last 2 cards. This is just what Watkins needs to be the literal god he is.
I hope Jared got that whole replay from Grok's perspective. And what I'd love to see is eventually, I want that replay played back with that metal intro music from Frozen Garden Ice Mines as Grok literally 1v5s the team. That's a sick idea. We need it on Esports Weekly or something tomorrow, man. Like, that was
There's
such a
like
cool
2 routes
moment.
you can take that. With this skin, you could also play Rock Lobster over it. It wouldn't be anywhere near as hardcore, but it'd be really fun to watch.
Damn, that's actually, I don't know. I actually don't know which I'd prefer at that point. That's a really, really good idea as well.
We'll just have to take both.
Here comes the Dragon Punch there. Fire Spit's going out behind the shield. Shadow manages to rip this one open in favor of his team for the first time today. Fast cap is enabled as well, so watch that bar fly towards the 100% mark.
Doing whatever they can. Neo has no King Bomb. Tippus is almost charged up, of course, because of the morale boost, but is it going to be able to do enough? They're trying to get in. They have the ults, they have the ability, and Neo going to be able to get rid of Tay first.
Rock Lobster! And just as the lightning in the bottle was his, it has been shattered and given back. 3-1. That's the score line here, but Team Zenith not out of this one yet. Extremely low HP. Neo's going to go down. Ancient Rage is going to fuel Makoa's onslaught just a little bit longer. Overtime brings in a new wave of hope for Team Zenith. A great hook lands here. Flame Effects takes up the reins, and Grok has got to be pretty close to getting back here.
I mean, at this point, going to be able to come in, get the damage. Dome Shield going to get thrown down on the
Attaboy.
point. Overtime still ticking.
Attaboy,
But it doesn't
Grocky.
matter. This Inara is standing between a clone. She's just going to take all that damage and get forced out.
Time for Grok to pop off, baby. The Eye of the Tiger has found its target. Look at the shock pulses ripping to the backline here, keeping the poke damage up, almost getting another Tempest up and available. Every shock pulse he loses, he's getting about 3 to 5% of his ultimate charged up. No contest necessary, though. Zenith lock it down in a spectacular fashion there. And I mean, who can you talk about other than Watkins?
I think when you break that game down, it does unhinge at one very specific point, and it is we try to stagger this Grok, and this Grok comes back to bite us in the ass.
That was so sick. That's
the only way to word that.
That might be one of my favorite moments of all time casting Paladins. Thank you so much for that treat of a game, Watkins. I loved it. Let's get it back to the desk and see what they thought.
Just laughing at how much Gore enjoyed all of that.
Gore's only descriptor was Grok came back to bite him in the ass. You know it's a good play when Gore has to say that is the only way to describe it. I was speechless at that moment.
I was just sitting here, almost couldn't believe what it was that I was seeing. I mean, Downfall doing on paper the right thing and trying to stagger some of the deaths out, but literally ends up biting him in the ass. Turn it around.
You cannot mess up a stagger like that, and you can't underestimate the Grok. I mean, it's one thing if it's a Damba. You know if he's used his Slither. You know if he's got Dread Serpent. But at the end of the day, man, Grok has self-healing. He's got the immunity, the Ghost Walk, cover distance, get healed while you can't damage him, and then the Tempest what's really sealed the deal, man. The self-ult to get back to his team. Oh my God, that was a beautiful play. And it turns into the literal push. I mean, it was a dream moment as a Grok player. This is what you live for if you're a Grok player.
And I think I agree with Gore and Nick. I mean, that was sort of what tipped the game.
It really was.
I mean, it was so back and forth, so close, and they just rode that momentum.
I mean, your morale is gone. After this epic play, it's gone. I mean, even misses a shock pulse. He says, I'll give you a free one. And then he gets the self-heal. They're like, oh, this guy sucks. He even misses his reload.
Tempest it is.
And he's stuck with no ammo, so he's like, let me Tempest out of here. Uses the caverns, and this is where they all knew they messed up. It's like that old Dave Chappelle skit, when keeping it real goes wrong. This is the moment.
And they played that so well, but, I think the clip was really going on like 5 seconds before
it
started
that.
here.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked almost sad for Watkins for a moment, like they were just kind of toying with him, like
they were,
like the little kid in the middle of the circle. They were just kind of shoving around, but he wasn't having it. He turned it on its head, and
then he breaks out the judo moves and just beats up every one of them. It's like the little kid. He takes his little glasses off and he just and then they're all down, and then you realize it's like a black belt, and it's some movie scene. I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, that's a play that's going to live down in infamy in Paladins esports. That's for sure.
Well, the Grok Lobster and the Grok Hard Abs.
Look at what happens when you don't play Tyra. One game, you get an epic play like that.
Take notes, Watkins, because I certainly am. Watkins, Grok, circled here on the notepad. But looking at it from a
circle my laptop.
From a sort of pick ban point of view, does Grok just work well on Ice Mines?
I do have things to say about that. It was a horrible Ying pick. the Ying set all of that up for the Grok.
Sure.
And it's just,
that's true,
you have
actually,
to be aware of that. And they did the Ying before, and you can't do it. I mean, it literally, Inara and Ying, that was it. Like, He was never going to not do that in that game.
Right.
Even if they didn't push it, they were still going to win every point fight. There was no way Shadow could get in without taking half health.
When you have the ricochet targets, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just too much to overcome. So
too much.
regardless of the play of the PML 2019, Grok, strong pick in that scenario. We are going to look at picks and bans for map number 4 on Stone Keep. Grover Torvald, pretty standard to start things off here. Drogos getting off the board early. Downfall looking to answer back with ban number 4. It is going to be Makoa. So Drogos ban, what do you think about it?
You know, I like Drogos here as an option. I think the ban is more opening up some space for Cassie or Leon to guaranteed being on one of their sides. I think they're not trying to get pigeonholed. I don't see Zenith relying on it. If anything, Downfall is more looking to have that for Shadow. So now if Shadow's going to play a traditional blaster, you're going to see him on something more akin to an Eevee or the Dredge, which we've seen Dredge not really work out well today. And we've seen the Eevee be inconsistent for Shadow specifically.
Right.
So now it's a good ban that opens up a lot of stuff and kind of hampers Downfall without really hurting Zenith. So it's a smart play.
Well, the first of the damage dealers comes out. It is going to be Leon. Downfall, on their side, now able to answer back. Eevee is going to be damage dealer number 1 for them. Barrack going to be point tanky type champion number 2. I guess you'll call Khan number 1, but pretty strong 4 picks there. Bomb King, damage dealer number 2 there for Zenith.
Yeah, and BK at this point, because they're going to see this last lineup, just a solid choice. They don't want to get countered out. It's really hard to counter BK if you pick that. If you pick something like an Andro, a Koga, you have options in Downfall to start making that a lot more of a hassle. They're going to go for the Kinessa because especially now that they know BK and Leon are who they're playing, especially backline, more mid-range damage dealers, getting into the aggressive lane. If they had gone Andro there, would have warded off the Kinessa. Now they know we could play a little longer, and Shadow will keep them away from us. This is a decent lineup from Downfall and should be good for Shadow and Edge in both.
Definitely, I agree. They have a strong lineup to answer back what was a loss on... no, it wasn't their map pick. Downfall, that was Zenith's map pick on Ice Mines, paying off in dividends for them. Going to Downfall's map pick now here on Stone Keep. Rain Day likes Downfall's lineup.
I do.
Zenith has a good lineup as well, but it's time to see how it plays out. We are going to jump into it here. Game number 4 on Stone Keep. Pretty Hair, Gormizer, on to you guys.
Well, there's some cookies, and they're ripe to be a-crumbling. We'll have to see where the crumbs lie after this one is all said and done. I like the ban on the Drogos on Stone Keep. I think that's been definitely something Shadows wanted to lean on. See if he can get it done on Eevee, but there's not a ton of great matchups for him in the backline that I'm in love with, to be honest with you. I don't know. What are you seeing here on paper?
I see a 1-2 pop from Neo killing him, and I see maybe a 1-2-3 pop from Watkins. It's going to be very difficult, and I think he's going to have to rely heavily on Edgel. I think this is one of those pure Eevee choices that they can't really do it on their own. I think it's going to come down to whether or not this.
I love how everybody
jumps
jumps there now. They know people are looking at that little crevice, and they're going to be trying to be taken down. No flanker per se, but they do have Ash. That might be a way to shut this guy down, but this nasty little tree is getting in the way of Kinessa finding any pressure, and this is, it's been a minute and a half, and he hasn't really shot anyone. It's been all Shadow finding the first blood.
And that's what he needs, right? And this goes back to game 2. Downfall look a lot better when Shadow's on the Eevee. Maybe it's just Eevee right now. Maybe the Drogos isn't looking too good.
Where's the
Bomb
heal?
King wasn't looking too good. This is kind of where I feel we need to see Shadow.
Definitely. I mean, he definitely didn't look bad on Splitstone. I thought he had a fine game on Splitstone.
Yeah. And even last map wasn't spectacular, but it was okay.
It's just that it was about someone else. Like, Shadow hasn't really played bad at any point. I think you could maybe argue that the Jaguar Falls game was bad from him, but it's just been about somebody else. The Ice Storm is so quick, too. My goodness gracious, how did he get that charged up so fast? Downfall off to a roaring start. There is nothing going for Zenith right now. They did absolutely nothing in that fight.
And I feel like Downfall are doing something that I think I've mentioned in the past about Kinessa, but I think is very important here. We haven't seen Edgen have any crazy headshots. He's not making insane plays, right? Like, maybe he hits 1 or 2. Maybe he's taken somebody down.
He's not
half
been
health.
Stigma. I'm going to put it that way.
He's not been Stigma. But the thing about Kinessa, and the thing that makes him look so good here, is very simply the fact that they have to play around the fact that there's a Kinessa. Like, the reason he's not getting these shots is because they're forced into these small cubbies where He doesn't have the vision.
Ooh.
And because of that, Eevee's having a heyday.
Ooh, and Ninny caught slipping there. Mage Monkey gets overpowered off the map as well as Tay begins his march to conquest here. Niu taken down. Can I see the damage charts right now? Because I feel like it's about to be all red. Leon is the only one, and she just got passed by Barrick. This is tough stuff right now. The top 3 spots all belonging to Downfall, as Kinessa is going to make this gap larger and larger. Headhunters available as well. She barely even needs it. Niu eats a nice headshot, taking him down. Doesn't need the Headhunter, though. Might actually just sit on this one for the rest of the round. Pops it as she makes a big flank into the backline. Wants to obliterate Watkins off the high ground. 2 quick shots. Ashe luckily gets that ultimate off, though, and that's going to slow everything down and might just give Zenith a prayer to survive.
And this is something we actually were seeing the opposite of early on. Ashe being able to use that gives you 8 seconds of time. It gives your team respawn time. They get to come out, they get to fight. You have an Inara to take your place when you do finally go down. And so now your team has to do something, but
no.
they just all die. They are not around. They don't get anything. Neo on the Bomb King kind of not doing anything.
And you're seeing that intangible impact Kinessa has had here, because that Leon is trying to rotate around. She completely gives up on the fight around the objective to slay this Kinessa, because she knows if I don't, this Kinessa is just going to kill everybody, as she has in many team fights past. What a performance there from Edgem. He has a resounding impact in the first round on Stone Keep. 2-0, 4-0, 3-0, 7-0. I mean, everyone is popping off right now for Downfall. They have not slowed down.
And setting themselves up, you could actually see Edgem. There's been, I want to say, like, questions as to where does Kinessa's talent go now that you're not going to be looking for pure headshots, and it looks like he's going to be going mainly teleporter, or at least not teleporter, but being able to augment his loadout to help his teleporter while he's going more than likely for steady aim. And just giving himself that ability to stay alive. He has self-sustainability, and he can get out whenever he does get collapsed on.
Right now, Ashe is trying to do a good job keeping a lid on it. Saris makes the rotation and starts to throw out some soul orbs as well. Here comes Convergence. Gone fishing, finds one. Shadow tried to get his ultimate off, but is unable to do so, and Watkins will get the first blood this time around.
Shots are good. Still trying to find that angle and get aggressive, but they've locked down Edgem at least a little bit by sending the Ashe like you had said in round 1.
Nice shots.
And then all you need is a little bit of fast gap, a little bit of comeback mechanic to make it a little easier. Tay, unfortunately in this awkward spot, your shield doesn't last forever and your health bar is gone.
And a very different story being told here in round number 2. Edgem finds 2 before Flame is able to track him down. The payload already going the way of Team Zenith this time around. I like what I'm seeing, and it's funny how different a game can go when the first blood falls one way or another. A very different opener from Team Zenith. They're able to get pressure not only onto Kinessa, but they're able to get the first blood, shutting down Shadow as well on his Eevee. 2 things that just didn't happen last time around, and my goodness gracious, Niu sent into the Shadow Realm as he gets thrown far, far off the map. Actually hitting the volume of where the map ends. You can see the invisible wall out there where he connects for 700 damage.
And one of the things I think we've seen out of Khan since the change to his ultimate not being a guaranteed grab, but having to have it be a skill shot, is those moments where that one, like that was a long-range pluck, essentially, onto the Bomb King, and to get rid of that presence. But the downside of it is that it only buys you so much. I mean, he's respawned. He's going to be back in the fight pretty much now. So you have to hope that this last minute and 15 goes your way, or else that ult kind of feels like it goes for nothing.
I like it as like an emergency brake, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so my car doesn't roll all the way down this hill. I'm going to stop it at least halfway. You know, the pin's going to break eventually and the car's going to start to roll again, but I don't have to deal with this car rolling at 30 miles an hour. Maybe I can take it at 15 and get this one slowed down to a controlled state once more. Shadow finds 2, Edgem gets 1 as the defense starts to hold yet again. Edgem pops his goofy little emote there. 45 seconds, plenty of time for Zenith to come back. And that overpower's almost charged up. Headhunter did get used in the last fight, though. And pretty far out forward this time. Downfall could find themselves in a position where they're getting picked off on their own zone.
And this is where it comes down to how well can you defend. Can you stop this Inara from touching? You've been doing a good job zoning so far, but you can see everyone on Downfall fell back immediately. Tay is already low health. So backs off, gets healed up, and is going to be able to come through, contesting under the probably toughest arch on this map, the biggest choke point you're going to have to deal with on that push. And so I'm going to say Neo, as well as the Leon, going to have to open up this door if they want to be able to find those push.
And finding a push does not normally start with your Inara being obliterated on the objective. Flame is duking it out with the 2 enemy front lines, but not long for this world as he has found himself in between the scope of Kinessa. Edgem will pull the trigger, hold the defense, downfall. Will grab themselves the 3-1 lead, the defensive point. And it's something that feels really good to do, especially when you don't have to spend any ultimates for it. Great rotation here. This was the early game kind of opener from Watkins as Team Zenith went on the offensive that time around. Edgem continues to pull further and further ahead on the damage charts. And while that's not the end of the world, while that's not the outright win condition for a game of Paladins, it certainly does not hurt.
When you're 13-1, you're feeling comfortable. Neo on the other side, not nearly as comfortable. And again, I feel like I've been harping on blasters pretty much all set. But that is, when it comes down to it, I mean, 2 and 6-3 for a Bomb King is incredibly low compared to what we normally see out of a Bomb King performance. So I'm saying, in my mind, if that switch is flipped,
I mean, it's the same.
If he starts coming on, then that's going to be a completely different game.
It's the same conversation we had about Shadow in Game 1. We just expect better. This is one of New's top champions. It's one of Shadow's top champions. It's not a bad map for the King on either side of the coin. You just expect more, but it's all about Edgem right now. It's all about Shadow being 7-2. Despite, I didn't really like any of his matchups, but he's finding a good way to continue to be useful, hitting decent ultimates, keeping pressure up on the frontliners when it's appropriate. Here comes the King Bomb around the corner. It will stun out too. Deep Dread Serpent as well. Edgem has made a fancy rotation, trying to find a foothold in this team fight. 42% and climbing to 36, 39 now and climbing for a downfall. That's a deep bomb from Niu, and it's going to find a kill onto Edgem. Now they might have some room to breathe.
And this is where they need that room. Unfortunately, it's been Shadow bonking back and forth. Gets where Watkins there, has been bullying Nini pretty much all game, and now
great convergence.
No one's looking at him. No one knows where to find him. They get a couple bombs, but it's never enough to kill him off completely.
Uh-oh, now Khan's up in the face of Niu. Does he want to pursue this one? Has the shield up. Not looking likely here. Saris is paying attention to the King at the moment. Niu doesn't know which way to look, though. Trying to throw the bombs up over the shield of the Khan. Edgem finds the kill onto the healer. No more sustain. All of this damage is going to stick. Edgem finds Nini. Edgem finds Watkins. Not before Watkins manages to find one, but Gormizer, things are getting dire here as we head north of 90% for downfall on game point.
And now he's hitting the headshots. He's finding everything he needs. Some aggression's going to come onto him, but Bomb King, can you do enough? The bombs are going to find it, and there Neo gets the kill, but unfortunately trades his own life out for it. And the entire time, the rest of the team Zenith, they're dying.
There you are indeed. Commander's grab is up, and it will land. Cauterize 3 is online. That healing was there, but it just didn't do anything. Watkins is completely zoned out. Nini's dead on the objective. King and Anar are coming ripping back in, but it's too little. It's too late. We're going to a game 5.
And you know what? That entire time, I'm looking at Watkins, I'm looking at Neo, I'm looking at the front lines. I'm like, what's going wrong here? And admittedly, that's not where any of the issue is. The core issue came down to the fact that the healing, Saris, just as a champion alone, isn't usually enough to keep up with, like, to have that potent healing. But also the fact that Nini was getting picked on the entire time. Every single time Shadow wanted to find a kill in the backline, it was the Saris.
Fairly easy breezy game for Mr. Edgem as he puts himself far, far at the top of the damage charts. Let's get it back to the desk and see what they thought.
Thank you very much, guys. Breaking down game number 4 here.
Breaking down.
The predictor calling a game 5. I think it was after it was 1-1. You said this one's going the distance, and to the distance we go. Going to game 5.
He's the equalizer. I'm the predictor. That's it.
They could make a movie about it.
They could.
Just a bunch of clips of you predicting things here on the desk.
Exactly. You need a little bit more of an anti or climatic score, I guess. This was not very exciting if it was a feature film, but maybe a short, maybe a little animated short. I like that.
They get Oscars too,
Put me in Love,
those
Death, and Robots, like an extra episode. I like that.
Absolutely. But looking here at the stats,
I'd be a good animated character. I would.
Do you think?
Pretty funny. Yeah.
Voice actor, you got it in your repertoire?
I do.
Nice.
I do have it in my repertoire.
I think I could see it. But 2 deaths, 1-3 death there on the side of downfall. Edgem being the guy to watch in this game. That Kinessa pick just being too much to deal with for Team Zenith. And this is something you touched on when we were looking at it in picks and bans. This is something you not only touched on, you foresaw. I mean, you looked into the crystal ball.
That's off-brand. I saw in my crystal balls.
Buy one now for 600 credits in the in-game store. No, you can't do that. But you predicted this. You said that the Kinessa wasn't going to have any real threat. I mean, she had 3 deaths, which was the most on the team. But the Kinessa would just
But
couldn't get to
they
her.
had to throw, you know, a phrase with that is they had to kind of just throw everything to get the Kinessa. That was the issue with this lineup. There was nothing that could easily close that gap, and that's what Shadow also did. His role was to pressure the back line. So if they ever tried to push to the Kinessa, their back line was getting aggressed by Shadow. So in that role, the point fight either had no pressure or they had pressure on both sides and were completely isolated from one another and couldn't do the thing. If they push back, no Kinessa pressure. If they push back here, Eevee has her way with the back line. It was kind of a great lineup and great bands all around from Downfall to be able to set that up.
Certainly a well-drafted lineup. Looking forward to game number 5 here. So it is going to go back to Zenith pick as Downfall is able to answer back. Frog Isle, thank you kindly, Frog Isle, coming out for me. I think it's the only one we've seen here today.
The Frogger.
The little frog man down there at the bottom. I'm not going to try to do the sound. I am going to try to do the sound. What is F dot? Whatever the frog face is.
The throwing up frog.
Right, the throwing up frog.
Regurgitating the
just sending
waterfall.
water over the side of the map. I'd be interested to see where that's going. Maybe it's creating a nice hot spring.
Maybe he's drooling. Maybe he's just like the beauty of the
views
this
map
and the ocean, like, you know, coastline. He's just like, oh, so,
you know,
I'm not going to, you know.
But I think you're onto something.
That frog's thinking.
I think you're certainly onto something there. But Frog Isle, a map where traditionally you see more snipery type champions come out, neither of them getting banned here. Edgem finding success on the Kinessa last game. I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised to see a Strix Kinessa, maybe 1-2 come out here.
Yeah.
As we say it, Kinessa for Downfall.
Yep, and that's going to be a very smart thing to do. They see two go-ahead lights there. First, they see the Makoa early, and they know that, you know, the Strix hasn't been taken yet, so they get their choice of sniper now. They may not get it later. They also see the Eevee banned out. Zenith won't be able to pressure. That's probably the most consistent way to get to it. So Zenith have to have a different approach. The Makoa and Ash are two very aggressive front lines that can do the job of really detracting from the space Kinessa has naturally built for her with that long line of sight. The Drogus is going to make things interesting, too. I actually really like the pairing from Downfall because you can't look both places. You can't look at the sniper and look up in the sky and try to deal with both threats at the same time. I
definitely agree, and another thing to look at as well is if they assume Zenith is now going to be looking at picking up Strix early on or somebody else, so they do get the Strix. The Drogus is going to be their sort of flank. I mean, he's an air flank, whatever that counts for. But that Drogus is going to be that's going to be their pressure onto the sniper. And we saw Zenith unable to find pressure onto the Kinessa at the end of last game. Drogus coming out presumably to put some more pressure on that Cassie and that Strix. You have some thoughts on either lineup here?
I just, I think I like the Barrack better.
Sure.
Honestly, I don't think the Fernando's giving Downfall what they need here. But hey, I'd love to see myself proven wrong. I've been waiting for Fernando to kind of prove me wrong all season.
Well, time to prove Evan wrong here. Frog Isle is map number 5. Zenith Downfall going for the win here. Nick, Gore, take it away.
Well, somebody's got to win here. It's time to rock and roll in game number 5, our first and only one of the day. This is our last set, taking you through some of the talents here. A little Fortress Breaker, Crack Shot, Mortal Reach, Leviathan, Wingardium Leviathan. That's a spell from Harry Potter, right?
You know what? Spot on.
Combustible as well from Shadow. That's a big one worth noting. Everything else fairly standard here, except for that Exaction Cassie, of course. That's the Niu special. Nobody else is really doing that except him.
So if you're wondering why combustible instead of worm jets, it is this person you are watching right now, Watkins, on a sniper, is a very good formula to get rid of a Drogoz that is hovering around in the sky too much. So you're going to be looking for Shadow, potentially finding shots around the corner, just looking for those explosive fire spits to just keep control for Downfall.
Kind of the same conversation that we had on Ice Mines, right? It's the old way that Drogoz was useful on X map, and it was combustible, right? So he's going to rock and roll with that style here, and Cassie's actually getting up in the face of some of these backliners, trading out big damage either way. Everyone is dying. Watkins picks up Shadow. Edgem finds Niu. People are dying across the board. 60% for Team Zenith, who are currently moved off of the objective, though, at the behest of Inara, who is trying to even the score for Downfall. She's doing so very successfully, I might add, at the moment.
The sniper battle going back and forth between the two. A couple of shots here, a lot more going in favor of Watkins, but he's still finding himself pressured out by the rest of Downfall, which I think is the big difference. Edgem is kind of not necessarily free firing, but he's getting a lot more shots off onto anyone that is not Strix.
There it is, 84 and climbing now. Downfall in a position where they need to make a move and fast. Shot's going to land onto Niu. Ash trying to shoulder bash her way out, but the wall is going to be good. It shuts her down. Headhunter's ready to go. Mage Monkey gets knocked back. Something blew him away from the objective, and he's actually going to be safer as a result. Dread Serpent comes out on the low ground here. Kills are starting to fall, but it's Downfall who steals away the first point on Frog Isle. That was a mess. I'm going to be honest. That was a mess. That was hard to follow. Very chaotic. Kills trading out very quickly after one another. And Downfall do what they can to keep their head afloat.
It's that moment of just clarity in chaos, right? Right now you have Watkins coming in. He's finding tons of awesome shots. He got a couple kills under his belt. And it doesn't mean anything because they just lost the point. Yes, you're starting your defense off good, but one thing Downfall capitalized on was not only creating that chaos, they force a convergence out. They force you into weird positions. But while you're busy trying to adapt to this thing they're doing, they just come in, scoop up the point. Now they're leading away. Whether or not they can find the push is going to be up to them. Frog Isle, again, this is a map we've said several times is very 4-0-able. You can find yourself winning and winning hard. But the question is going to remain as to whether or not that's true for teams that are as close as these two.
You know, say what you will about Niu, the man has style and timing there. The way that combo comes through, he waits a second for the spray, sprays it, and then the kill comes through. And it looks like another one. I love the little, like, almost comedic timing between the spray and the kill credit. And he does spray a lot, but my goodness, some of these are definitely worth it. And I can't say I blame him.
I mean, he knows. That's actually one of the things, I think it was last week we were talking about it. Wasn't it him on the Cassie who was just, like, emoting on Bright Marsh while Alec on a 20-something streak while everyone's shooting at him? Finally,
he ulted.
And then living through.
He ulted for CC immunity, started to emote, and then rolled out of it and lived and got the kill. And I was like, damn, that is like turbo BM. It's also very, very highly calculated turbo BM, but a highly, it's a high-level maneuver I wouldn't recommend to the kids at home.
You could try it, but recognize that you are not Nia. There's a really good reason his name is pronounced that way, and that is because he is a very, very, very solid Cassie. Good with bolts, bullets, and anything here from far and in between.
Is that a Matrix reference?
Yeah.
I've not seen that movie, so
you should.
I'm a little in the dark.
Do you like John Wick?
Somewhere. You know, I'm actually not super crazy about John Wick. And it's not bad at all. I definitely like it. But it's one of those things, it's like you hear so much about it. Everyone's like popping off, like out of their seat, like, John, it's so sick. And I'm just like, yeah, it's good. John Wick. And I'm like, all right. I mean, yeah, it's cool. I'm definitely not PogChamp.
That is, then I feel like you feel the exact same way about The Matrix. Except that there's not as many people.
Because it's also Keanu Reeves?
It's a very similar vein. Like, there's, I want to say maybe more of a story. It's not just man is pissed and is good with guns. But it is, Keanu Reeves shoots people, the movie.
Alrighty. Fair enough. The fair review. The fair review. That's what you can always trust from the half-prophet Gormizer, fourth of his name. Last couple of seconds here.
I wanted to correct. I am fifth of my name.
Oh, you're fifth of your name. My bad.
We've got and King of the Amdals in the first match.
King of the Amdals. Oh, boy. What a treasure here. Our national treasure. Our sweet Gormizer.
John Wick rules. Nick is the worst.
Oh, boy. I guess we know how Blake feels about John Wick. My goodness gracious.
It is an awesome movie. Dude, Chapter 3 is coming out in like a little over a month.
That one looks pretty sweet because I saw a preview when I went to go see Us. He was like riding down the highway on a horse and a bunch of guys on motorcycles with katanas were chasing him. I'm like, bro, this is just straight up fictional action, and I love this. This scene looks like it's going to be super cool, whichever way it goes. Nice stun in the backline there from Ash, though. As we rain it in here on Frog Isle. Dragon Punch looks to find a home, and it does on a Flame Effects. The ancient raging turtle is made no more in his own homeland. All this is happening, but it's still 75-12 on the objective for Downfall.
I mean, control is definitely in their favor. Mage Monkey's been doing a lot of work. Finally gets taken down, and there's a couple of shots coming from Edgem to make sure he gets a couple of kills. That's going to be 99, potentially 100, yeah, for pretty much nothing. It feels like Zenith are like in the fight. They're definitely contributing. There's a better way to say it because that just means, that sounds mean. But it's like they're making this go back and forth. They're making it lengthy, but they're just not. They're falling apart towards the end. Is the better way to word it.
Yeah, definitely feel that. And sometimes that can be the way, right? Nobody really feels like they're dedicated point tanking from Zenith. Sometimes it's Ash getting aggressive to the backline. That time it was both Makoa and Ash getting aggressive into the backline. And so Anar's just kind of sitting there the whole time. And if that fight doesn't end quickly or convincingly enough, then Anar compositions just kind of win. And that's the way of the road. Downfall are going to find themselves up 2-1 here. This has been a very, very close set. I think we kind of expected that, though. Downfall are very undefeated, but you know, Zenith adding Niu, starting to get better and better every single week. Big Fear comes out as well, looking for some way to get this one kicked off there. Aaron managed to grab Flame off of it. Convergence pulls Drogos out of the sky. It's going to be good. Rarely does Convergence have a team fight ending type of impact like that, especially on PC, but Nini finds a way to get it done.
And the thing I like most about that is the thing that started this round off a lot differently, or this push off differently, was Downfall having momentum. Last round, they pretty much lost it immediately, and then they were having to fight back. The reason the defense was so easy from Zenith is because they started it at 2.5 minutes, and they held it for 2.5 minutes. Ooh. Downfall this time spent about 1.5 minutes constantly pushing, constantly keeping Zenith on their toes, and now, just because of one good convergence, they get to relax.
Big shots here. Edgem trying to maintain his damage buff. Every fully charged shot you hit with Kinessa is going to increase the next fully charged shot's damage for the next 8 seconds. That's why sometimes you see those orange comic booky numbers in the backline there, 1560 as opposed to 1200. It's going to be enough to take down Mage Monkey. Knee rolls out. That's a big shot, frankly, that's missed there by Edgem. Finds one more onto the shield. 25 seconds on the clock. Strix almost steps forward to his death. Nini might as well. It's close, but no cigar here. But there is 4 other team members of Downfall, and they are stepping up to the plate now as Edgem has teed them up for a very nice end to this fight.
Mage Monkey gets rid of Shadow. Dread Serpent comes through, pushes away. And unfortunately for Mage Monkey, he's not going to be able to touch down. T-Mac actually gets credit for the 2 kills on the front lines towards the end there.
Pog.
And those are going to be the 2 kills that this support has, at least for this game, as of right now. And I mean, when you're looking at the damage numbers, Watkins is way up there. When you're looking at the control that Zenith has, it's up there. But it's converting those into kills and being able to confirm them consistently. I think that's falling apart.
They spent the Ancient Rage too, man. That one hurts for sure. You hate to see that. So that's going to be a tough way to bounce back here. They still have decent-ish ultimates. I mean, the Assert Dominance has got to be the one that wins the fight for sure. Flashbang ain't going to do it. Scout ain't going to do it. Convergence, despite morale boost 3, I'll be honest, probably isn't going to do it either. Unless Mage Monkey can hit a nice stun that sets up the Convergence. But given where Saris is playing right now, I don't know that she's going to be the one turning this fight around. When you look at Seismic Crash, Immortal, Dragon Punch, it seems much more likely that those ultimates can pull the weight here, but one more shot onto the Dragon is going to be enough to take him down. Watkins will find it.
Gets rid of Flame in the process, though, so Shadow not dying without, although definitely wished he could have lived through that engagement. But this is what Zenith need with Comeback Mechanic, and that fast cap enabled. They should be able to stand here and pretty much win this fight. They need a little bit more zoning, and Nara making it through means that there should be a touch from Downfall, but if they can keep the knockback, they can keep the damage, they can keep this control up, this is going to go a little bit longer than your typical Frog Isle game.
Chunking away and away and away they go. 97%. The fast cap is still enabled. Remember, Seismic Crash, wall drops, the stun lands, and kills are starting to come through. Either way, though, Watkins finds 2. Creeping, looking for a 3rd. Niu still lurking in the backline, no longer. Edgem takes him down. Crack shot leveraged here. The bonus damage, the flashbang. Watkins is panicking. He's pulling out everything but the kitchen sink to take that Fernando down, and it's good enough. Zenith stays alive.
A flashy little quick scope at the very end, too, just being able to go through and keeping him in a 6th streak. Continue pushing as hard as he can. The flashbang, not necessarily a little known fact. A lot of people know how effective it can be in the middle of a fight, but using it like that disruptive, a Strix in your face flashbanging you, does not happen often, and I feel like that was like the perfect moment for it.
Turns off the lights for 4 seconds,
or turns them on way too much.
Before Resilience, and does 150 damage, right? I've been killed by flashbangs before, and that's a real feels bad moment for sure. You're just like, all right, dude. Okay, all right. That's the way
I know you had to style on me, but did you have to style on me that way?
Happy Monday to me, I guess.
I'd rather get 360 no-scoped than flashbanged killed.
I probably honestly would too. Actually, I don't know. Either way, big shots from Niu. Ejim is going to hop his Headhunter and start to rock and roll here. Plugs the last little bit of that Shell Shield's HP as well. Big hook lands, and Niu is going to find the combo off of it. Watkins throws his hat in the ring as well. 119, and this could be evened up here 3-3 before we know it. If Downfall aren't careful, they're down a man right now. They can't afford to lose anyone else. Ultimates are starting to stack up for the side of Team Zenith as well. So if they can end this round here cleanly, then Downfall will be in an awkward spot because they won't have a lot of resources and no roll for Niu. He's stuck there for a moment but realizes he doesn't have any way to get back up onto the map at this point.
That moment where he saved himself, but it wasn't enough of a save. Like, he was able to avoid the death from the knockback, but not so much that he could actually get back into the area. Has to choose to kill himself, and now 90% on the scout. But as of right now, a dead-in-the-water push. They're trying to figure out how to get back over here. And they're able to do it pretty easily. I mean, everyone on Downfall just kind of cedes the ground away.
Scared, I think, a little bit to give this one up, but Downfall's probably also willing, right? They don't want to pop any ultimates. Likely, if they don't have to, looks like they might not. My goodness gracious. Straight to the backline. Flame is going to get aggressive, find the first kill of this fight. 14 seconds on the clock. Niu starting to commit, finding big damage onto William, but wants a different target. Doesn't like what he sees there. Doesn't like what he sees there either. Decides that William will be just fine here. I've committed a lot, and I didn't like what I got in return. Now, overtime is going to be started through. Blue on offense, red on defense. Red, how much longer can they hold here? Every ultimate in the game is available. Headhunter is popped to try and keep this one in favor of Downfall just a little bit longer. Flame effects obliterated as he comes back in, and it looks like it will be all red all the time. The defense holds. No points are scored for Blue. We go into this next round 3-2. That rhymed.
Half
I'm nuts.
a comeback mechanic enabled, and for people who are wondering what that means, that
A
is
little half cap, dude.
3% on one tick, 4% the next tick, 3, then 4, then 3, then 4, alternating up entirely.
what's after that
But that's
four?
only for
Another
Zenith.
3?
Another 3.
But what after that 3?
Another 4.
Oh my goodness.
And as you can imagine, so on and so forth until someone captures the point. If
How do you
Zenith
know all this? Does
are
this
able to
come
do
with
it.
being the prophet?
Yeah, no, actually, that was like the only knowledge they bestowed. It was a little book that just said, here's what comeback mechanics
It's just a
means.
page with 3, and then a page with 4, and then a page with 3. Oh, I see.
But if you are Zenith,
It's all clear now.
you have a little bit kind of playing in your favor, but the downside is, of course, that Downfall only needs this 1 point. Ejim is on fire once again, and if he finds these shots and is feeling as comfortable as he was at the end of the last round, we're going to be looking down a very dangerous barrel.
Whoa, Mage Monkey diving into the back line. We've seen this before, but it hasn't gone this well. Already 1 kill coming through for Master Mage. Niu finds William as well, just separated. That's the name of the game. That's a great ultimate. It's frankly one. I mean, Scout is Scout. It's whatever. Doesn't matter a whole lot. The Assert Dominance is just one ultimate that essentially wins that first fight, captures them 70% to nothing. They still have Ancient Rage, they still have Flashbang, they still have Convergence. Watkins takes the dragon out of the sky. That's going to be the defining mistake of this fight. If Kinessa can find a shot, that's going to be great. Takes down Ninny. The healer is no more for Blue. Can they sustain off the HP that they have left? And it looks like they might.
Flashbang up into the air. Watkins just doing whatever he
It's
can
the
to kind of
trees.
keep control.
The payload.
Those poor trees won't be able to see for a
F that
long
tree,
time
man.
after that.
I didn't
but
like
is
that
now
tree either.
Tying it up 3-3. Forget the trees.
Now it's real game time.
Zenith can win.
Now it's some real 3-3, 2-2, best of 5, down to the wire action as we head north of 16 minutes here on Frogile. One of our obviously closer contested sets of the day. No ultimates for Team Zenith. This push is going to get started all on its own. Dragon Punch never got off, so he's going to have it available if they want to just pop it here for funsies, onesies now. Headhunter's back fully charged. Immortal's fully charged. More fire spits are coming up over the top. A lot of hurry up and wait at the moment for the payload.
And this is that, I mean, very awkward moment of how do we break this. This push on Frog Isle. So easily defended from the base, as Ejim is showing you. You can pretty much see the entirety of the path from where he is. But the payload still made it 3/4 the way. 1.5 minutes left on the clock. Ults available on the side of Downfall. 3-0, well, 1 on Zenith as they are trying to gather those up. But, I mean, if you're looking at assert dominance, and maybe one good convergence, that's a good way to push.
There it is. I'm not sure if Mage Monkey thought that was coming for him, but it did all the same. Immortal's going to probably bail Shadow out here. It's a nice use of that defensive PC utility. Another fight is won fairly handily in favor of Downfall. In stealth, out of life, out of time. Watkins sent back to base. Very staggered fashion are these kills now. Watkins just now coming back up, burning a bit of time off the clock, but Shadow gets pulled in and won't make it back out. Just like that, the tables turn. Team Zenith is back on the aggressor, but they have so much at the map to cover. I'm not going to sure if that pick necessarily matters too much. Now, the defending respawns are going to be longer than the offensive respawns. As a result of the offense has a lot more ground to cover coming out of spawn to get re-involved in the fight.
As of right now, Edgem's still probably the one to watch just with how much control he's had. Mage Monkey is just not in a good spot, gets taken down there. This Kinessa has to get taken care of or else she's going to continue causing trouble. Flame recognizes it, but I don't know if he recognizes it fast enough.
Flame recognized Flame. Yellspin back into trouble. Didn't want to pop the Ancient Rage there. That's worth noting, and if that's just going to set the pace for this fight. I don't even think there's going to be a fight at this point. Unless Ash wants to go for something real cheeky, which she does not. Overtime will simply expire, and we will head to the wire. 18-23. This is probably going to be a 20-plus minute game. Best of 5. It all comes down to this. Both these teams hungry for this win. Downfall trying to stay undefeated here in the North American Paladins Minor League.
Dragon Punch almost available. Immortal going to take a little bit more time to charge up. The same thing to be said about Nini using that convergence, but every other ult available in the game. The damage very heavily in the sniper's favor, but surprisingly enough, Watkins is the one leading the way in that one. And it comes down items galore, as you can imagine, in 19 minutes into the game. Everyone's going to be feeling kitted. Everyone's going to be feeling comfortable. It comes down, at this point, to just who plays better.
That's always a fun way to end a game. 4-11, 6-10. Rough slash lines for the front lines of Team Zenith. But that's because they're caught, I think, in between being point front lines and just pure aggro tanks. Mage Monkey's going to try doing what he did last time again, but Shadow again will fail his Dragon Punch initially. William looks like he's going to be taken down. It's almost the exact same story. Another big hook lands. Ancient Rage still available. Convergence Flight. This is almost word for word the same team fight we saw last round.
Watkins going to be able to get rid of Edgem, and then you have everything you need. Like you said, it's pretty much watching the exact same fight. Part 2, Convergence should be able to cause a little bit of a stall or get them some more kills. It is going to be up to Watkins. It's going to be up to whether or not they can get something good with these ults on the side of Downfall.
Big D-Serpent, Big Immortal still waiting. Gone fishing. Come up empty, it looks like. Nini. Morale boost not necessarily paying off, man. I saw one Convergence this game that pulled in like anyone, so that could be a rough way to look at it there. The Immortal going to keep things going for a time. Ancient Rage was expended. Big healing coming through. Saris almost topping off from Makoa outright. Dragon Punch got to find someone. Come on, Shadow. Find a target, find a home. Flame Effects takes him down. It looks like he will be alive for the time being as well. These point frontliners starting to crumble, though. Ash about half HP. Flame Effects starting to feel the heat, and it looks like Downfall might just stay undefeated. Overtime expires. Reset once more. I'm not sure who by.
Saris dancing on the point.
Oh, you're right. You're right. That was it. I like it. Nini, try to get in there. Niu, try to get in there. But they all meet their downfall as we still have an undisputed top team in the North American PML.
Although I will say it is a lot closer than anything's going to see. You're going to see, I guess, the scoreboard, and the same thing kind of goes for Europe. Just because the teams have taken those steps to get further apart in terms of their score does not mean that the skill gap has gotten any wider. In fact, I feel like it's closing in. If Zenith is able to do that to Downfall, I'm excited to see how this is going to continue over the next few weeks.
Well, we end the minor league with a bang here in the casting booth. Let's get it back up to the desk and round out our day.
Thank you, guys, and a great 5-game series to end on there. And I think I agree with Gore. I know I agree with Gore. It's always good to agree with Gore.
That's rare, yeah.
But I think despite Zenith being 1-2 now, Ferocity, that would make them 2-1. We'll look at the standings here in a little bit. Downfall 3-0. But it's a lot closer in this block, I think, than the standings might dictate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a weirder set. When you throw Ice Mines in a set, it always is a little bit weird,
Right.
and those games can always be, well, would that have really happened if that was on Stone Keep or Serpent Beach or on Bright Marsh? But that's the thing. They are fighting for precious points. They're not fighting for style points.
Right.
Now, this is not going to be a crazy game for Downfall because they're only a +1 map differential. They got the win. But because Team Zenith made it a best of 5, if they end up getting in a tiebreaker, as long as they continue to have a good rest of the season, they're going to be in good contention with Downfall if they can keep up some momentum. Niyu's a definite star here, the way he was playing today. He was absolutely phenomenal.
Certainly someone to keep your eye out for. Edgem, you see the highlights on your screen as well. Playing the Kinessa a few times today and making it pay off each time. I mean, Edgem, if nothing else, has proved that he's a Kinessa that needs to be looked at, that needs to be respected. On the opposite side, it was who was playing the Strix. Watkins was playing the Strix. He was proving that he could hang in there just as well. So lots of high action coming in there in this game, and really just balanced on a knife edge.
Yeah, Watkins and Niyu both performed really well. Watkins for his flexibility, which we've seen a lot of Tyra, but being able to perform, have that great play on Grok, still transition into the Strix, and also have the consistency on the Tyra is a really nice thing. Niyu just on the Cassie all day long, Exaction doing his thing. I mean, he's really a dangerous player.
Was a fun day of North American Paladins Minor League. We'll take a quick look at the updated standings. Downfall 3-0, 2-1 Ferocity, 1-2 Zenith, 0-3 Bork. But like I said, I think Downfall is the best team.
Yeah.
And, they've beaten everyone to show that. But I think there has to be something said for Ferocity and Zenith. I think the standings accurately reflect sort of where everyone is. But Zenith really proving that they can hang with the entire bracket, showing that I think they could hang with Downfall this far.
Yeah, and if this was reversed, you might see the exact opposite to where, if Zenith were able to play against Bork instead of Ferocity, they would have had maybe a 3-0, and you look at that 4 differential dropping down to 1 for Ferocity, and you look at that -4 dropping up to -1. So they're very, very close in how that they're operating in this league. And I think there's a bright future for all the players and teams. I just hope they keep it up. Stars are being born by the day. Let's keep it up.
Absolutely. And then flipping back the page to earlier this morning, look at EU, and I think it's more the same. I mean, Sour Team again is the team at the top,
right?
And they're the team to beat right now. But you have a lot of people keeping up with them. Clown Fiesta, 2-1. All Business 1-2. Blazing Asars down there at the bottom, 0-3. But I think that this tells a very similar story to what the NA standings tell, in that there's one team that's above everyone else, and teams 2, 3 can all compete. Team 4 looking to hit their stride there, but still a lot of good competition to be had for sure.
Yeah, wins are going to be taken all across the board. That's what's going to happen in this league. It's going to last for a while, so they're going to have a great opportunity to kind of flex their stuff, keep making those roster swaps or identity adjustments within how you want to go about playing these games. There's a lot of time to improve.
Absolutely a lot of time to improve. We'll take a quick look at next week's schedule to see how these teams are going to be able to react from this week. You got All Business as SARS next week, Clown Fiesta Sour Team, so that's a big 1-2 matchup there over in Europe. Zenith, Bork, Ferocity, Downfall, so some big matches next week that, despite there being some clear lines in the sand, could mix things up again.
With Ferocity playing Downfall and Zenith playing Bork, you can expect, if Bork stay the same right now, Zenith to take that win, and Ferocity, if they do not show up, to drop farther in. They will be matched up in the win-loss column, and now that differential is that's the differentiator, basically. So that's what you need to make sure you do. Win these sets, but win them efficiently.
That's a big thing, and when the season's as long as it is, and you only play 3 other teams in everything. I mean, any given week, they could just one guy could go up, one guy could go down. I mean, there's tons of stuff to look forward to. Long seasons of Paladins Minor League to come for sure.
Yep.
That is going to do it for us here today. Later this week, though, the much-anticipated return of the Paladins Premier League. That is going to be Thursday and Friday, 10 a.m. both days. But before then, we're going to set the table. Before we have dinner, we're going to have some Esports Weekly tomorrow, hosted by Gormizer. Make sure to tune into that at 1 p.m. tomorrow. So that is going to do it for us today. A lot of great action today, A lot of fun to be had tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Brought to you by Skillshot, Hi-Res Studios, Evil Mojo, INAP, Steel Series, Respawn.